right. You're Commander. Well, welcome everyone.
Privilege.
Welcome everyone to apparently after a full season, we've just realized, or at least I've just found out because nobody told me, or maybe they told me and I just chose to ignore it as is tradition. And apparently I misspelled Mimi Sidereal Days. I said instead of Commander, she's Commander, as it were. So that is absolutely wonderful.
You pointed it out on like episode 1 and said you were going to fix it.
Yeah, well, I got distracted by the 8 games I run per week. So there it is. That's on me, honestly. That's on me. But welcome, everyone, to Season 2, Episode 1, the long overdue, much anticipated by myself and these fine people. Maybe some viewers. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But we're super excited to be back for Season 2 of Star Trek Valhalla. During our last season, things got a little crazy at the end. A certain Ferengi may or may not have blown up a white... I don't know. It was a whole thing. There was some levitating. People got sucked into a thing. There was some weird growth on a ship. It was weird. It was weird, but we got through it. Kind of. Sort of. Space dragons? I don't know. But we're going to go around the table. We're going to have everyone introduce themselves. I'm going to do just a quick recap of everything in Season 1, in case you're just joining us. And then we're going to dive right into Season 2, Episode 1, which is entitled, This is Just the Beginning, because truly, this is just the beginning. But we're going to go Brian, Sidereal Day, Charles Warren, Symbol, and Drew Baca. Take it away, Brian.
Hello, I'm Brian. I'm at MindOverBrian on both Twitter and on Twitch. But on Twitch, I spell it with a 0 because some jerk stole my O. And I'm playing Captain Asba Traso, our Betazoid captain who has forsworn his telepathic gifts. Or has he? No, he really has.
Hello, I'm Sidereal Day, and I play Commander. Wow. I play Commander Ajay Shahira, who is our Bajoran first officer. It's been a long time away, clearly. We spent too long away from this show, as well as the Chief Medical Officer.
Very good.
Hello, I'm Charles. I play Ensign Zed, our Ferengi Chief of Security and Operations Officer.
Very nice. Very nice. Very nice.
I am Symbol. I play Lieutenant Alden Paris. I am the science officer of the Ragnar.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm Drew. I am playing Lieutenant Commander Krev Glash. He is the Andorian chief engineer of the Ragnar.
And of course, I am Dare Wolf, the game master, the storyteller, the weaver of tales, as it were. It's funny when I say tales because I do Dare Wolf and wolves have tails. You know what? I'm feeling really happy. I'm a little goofy right now. I kind of got some dad joke puns going on. Everyone's giving me a look like shut up and get the game started. Maybe I'm filibustering. I don't know. It's all good. But, anywhoots. So during last season, we began our season with the relaunching of the Ragnar, sending it out into space after its massive refit. Now, right as it launched, or right before it launched, there was this huge tidal wave, this kind of shock wave that came from a singularity that had seemingly just sprung up out of nowhere. Over our first 3 episodes, we watched as the Ragnar traveled to this singularity and discovered these Cardassian ships, and there was this ship covered in this kind of moss, and it was all just a bit chaotic and crazy as it went on. If you could give me 2 seconds, this is my boss calling me. I'm so sorry. Hey, Chris.
Quick, somebody else filibuster.
Well, when he mentioned wolf,
no, he did not answer.
Wolf tails, I thought about 2 wolves with their tails getting tied up.
There are 2 wolves battling inside.
Wow, so sorry. Just when your boss calls you, you got to answer it. Like it is what it is. He never calls me, so I apologize. Wow, we are off to just an absolute fantastic start here. Holy moly. I'm just professional game masters, professional streamers, as it were. Anywhoots, I digress again. But we watched as the Ragnar moved out, and the only real survivors or pieces of information, the only real folks that came out of that whole endeavor where the black hole fell in upon itself, it was massive, it was crazy, there was just chaos happening, was a young man by the name of Joffrey Locke and this Andorian who claimed that the Ragnar was his ship. Now, over the course of the next couple of episodes, we had an interaction with a species where we probably started a revolution there. That was a whole thing. We had some interactions with this strange space station, which really kind of revolved around the last couple of episodes. And to kind of tie off the entirety that was this season, this first season, was this singularity, another singularity, this white hole, and this group of people, this species that was saying the Noomfell Legion that they were. This Noomfell Legion, they were worshipping this white hole, this power source on this station called the Chronos Station. And we watched as, well, a certain Zeb, a certain Ferengi. I was going to say that goes unnamed, but we're going to name him because he's so, I guess, iconic. We watched as he threw down this crystalline device that he had. It shattered. Everyone was sucked up into the white hole. And then we opened our final scene here with the Ragnar, the captain ejecting the warp core to get away from this white hole turned black hole that was sucking everything in. There was a massive explosion, a tidal wave. I'm pretty sure Drew ran into a space dragon. It was a whole thing. And that space dragon then absorbed itself into the very warp core of the Ragnar. Now, our last scene of season one was the Ragnar traveling back through the Shackleton Expanse towards Starbase 123. But what was strange is the ship's computer, the chronological, what's it called? The internal clock?
Chronometer?
That's the one.
Chronometer.
Chronometer. It's a hard word
Yes.
to say. The chronometer of the Ragnar was struggling to figure out what date it was, as though time wasn't quite right. And as you arrived at the edge of the Shackleton, you finally were able to get direct contact with Starbase 123. There was a response from them that no such ship as the Ragnar existed. They made comments about some ship that had potentially been lost to the Delta Quadrant. And that is where we ended last season. So we're actually going to pick up relatively very, very shortly after the events of that. And we pick up on the bridge of the Ragnar. Now, my question is, Drew, Krev, would you be on the bridge? Would you be down in engineering? Where do you think your character would be in this moment?
He would be in engineering.
Perfect. Excellent. So I'm going to go ahead and just send you down to engineering. But we open our scene with the bridge crew of the Ragnar in their positions. I'm going to say everyone other than Krev is obviously sitting in their respective chairs. We have the science officer, Lieutenant Paris. We have the chief of security and operations, Ensign Zed. We have the captain, etc. But you're all sitting there, and you have this audio-only communique from the Starbase 123. And I leave the scene to you. They've just mentioned they have no record of a ship called the Ragnar.
Is Drew not going to do his log?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Fucking Drew. I'm really rusty, dude. Drew, that's the second time I forgot you today. Drew, why don't you do your opening log? Can we just start over? I'm trying here, guys. And with that, we pause as we hear Drew giving his opening log. I'm all flustered.
It's okay, man. I just wrote a short one for this one anyways. So Chief Engineer's log, stardate 401585.3. Since passing through the wormhole, it appears that the Ragnar and her crew have traveled back approximately 30 years in the past. This will most likely not go well for us. Everywhere I go on this damned ship, I expect to see some stuck-up, prissy DTI agent looking for me to ask some question about my ex-wife. Repairs on the Ragnar proceed apace. I've even had most of the senior staff rolling up their sleeves. I found Commander Adjay to be extremely talented with a hydro spanner. I still haven't received a formal apology from the captain either for ejecting my work core, and that Pathafana just laughs maniacally whenever I ask when I'm being awarded my commendation for partnering with Jormungandr. Captain Cole and that stupid Andorian have also disappeared without a trace. I suppose they both could be living in the Cloaking Device, but you can even tell at this point. End of log.
And that plays over a confused bridge crew that is sitting looking at the view screen. which is just showing the open space and the audio only from Starbase 123. See how I recovered there? Good job, Wolf. You're doing God's work. All right.
Just congratulate yourself.
I did.
So good. Yeah.
I did.
Excellent.
Yeah, good job. I just screwed up twice and talked over Drew. I'm so sorry, dude. I owe you. You know what? You may have 3 momentum for that delightful opening log, and for me failing you as a game master. There you go. That's where we're at. That's my. I'm sorry. So we again open that scene. I leave the scene to you to respond as you all see fit.
Lieutenant Paris, give me a scan of the station.
Hi, sir.
Specifically for the chronometric readings.
Yes, sir.
Give a control science difficulty of 3. You may also have the ship assist if you'd like.
Of course. And I have my my talent for technical expertise since I'm using a computer. And I'll use anything I can use. Not really. What I will do is scan stellar bodies for time displacement. Yes, that's the word I was looking for.
Absolutely not what I just ordered you to do, but cool.
I know.
Off to a great start to season 2. The GM doesn't know what he's doing. The crew's basically mutinying the captain. It's glorious.
Sensor science for the ship. Wolf?
Yes.
Sensor science for the ship? Yeah. Damn.
Ooh, nice. Oh,
there you go.
Wow. That is 6 successes, or 5 successes, excuse me. So that does bring you up to 5 momentum at this point. Very well done. So remind me again, I want to make sure I'm giving you the proper information. What specifically are you scanning for, Lieutenant?
I am scanning positioning of stellar bodies, comparing with the maps of the time period that we have in database to compare if we are indeed in that time period.
Okay, so you're definitely not where you're supposed to be temporally. That's for certain. And you realize that you are about 30 years in the past. Roughly 30 years in the past, which does correlate to the big events going on would be around the time of the end of the Dominion War. That is where you find yourselves.
Captain, I scanned these stellar bodies to double check the readings. We are 30 years in the past. This is happening.
Ensign Zed, open a channel audio only to station Starbase 121, 123, whichever Starbase we're at.
Captain, if we are truly displaced in time, would contacting them be some violation of the Prime Directive or temporal regulations?
Well, we've already contacted them. We need to warn them off sending anybody to follow us into the Shackleton Expanse when we fade back into the darkness.
Yes, of course. Opening a channel now, Captain.
Starbase 123, this is Captain Asba Treso of the USS Ragnar. We seem to have been temporarily displaced. We're going to head back into the Shackleton Expanse and seek an answer. In the meantime, please refrain from sending any vessels after us. The Temporal Prime Directive directs that we refrain from as much contact as possible. USS Ragnar out.
There is a 5-second delay as you cut the channel, and then there is a communique coming to you from Starbase 123. Do you accept it? It's priority 1.
Well, yeah, I can't. They can't ruin the timeline for me. They can only ruin the timeline. I can only ruin the timeline for them. So yeah, of course, I bring it up on my desk or my chair screen.
USS Ragnar. This is. I'm sorry, I'm having a moment. I'm all over the place tonight. I'm so sorry, folks. I'm so sorry. This is Commander of Starbase 123. We are sending 2 Jem'Hadar attack vessels to escort you into the base. You are ordered to maintain your current position and not deviate it from it. Please acknowledge.
I just cancel it. Ensign Zed, engage the cloaking device. and bring us around to heading 015, mark 237.
Immediately, Captain.
As you engage the cloaking device, you watch as that kind of glassy looking, almost mirror-like kind of sheen falls over the front as you look out the view screen. The vessel blends into that black and kind of twinkling twilight that is the vastness of space. And then we can see just that shimmering outline kind of turn and head back towards the Shackleton. On long-range sensors, Lieutenant Paris, you pick up two. They appear to be Jem'Hadar. They appear to be Jem'Hadar vessels, but they seem to be slightly more advanced than the ones that you have on record. They have more weapons, more armaments. They have a more powerful warp engine. They seem, I would say, roughly 20 years more advanced than they were at the time of the actual Dominion War.
I will scan them with con, because that's how my talent works. So I am a starship expert, so I can try and identify them. Yeah.
While he scans them, I'm going to lean over to Shahira and say, as I recall, the Jem'Hadar had a way to pierce cloaks, didn't they?
Yes, I believe they used it to great effect during the war.
Suggestions? We told them we were headed back into the Expanse. Should we head towards the station to throw them off the scent?
After we bring the cloaking device up, I would suggest perhaps an angle that takes us towards neither and then doubling back.
Excellent. Make it so.
Wolf, what's the difficulty?
So difficulty on this is going to be a difficulty 3 for you, my friend. Difficulty 3.
Yeah, so small crafts, so I don't have a focus, but the ship will help, I hope.
Absolutely.
And I will use 3 momentum to make sure I have 4 dice.
And I'm going to bring you guys over to known space so that you
Sensor
can tell
science
me
again?
where you'd like to go. Yes, sensor science, correct. Ooh, nice. Okay.
I will re-roll that
the complication.
0.
Okay, good. Good. You're still gaining back 1 momentum. It's good.
So
okay,
it is
that's
0.
Fine. No complications, so that's good. So here's what you identify, Lieutenant Paris. And don't forget, you do have, every time you make a check, you can ask an additional question as the Chief of Science. So what you identify is that these appear to be, at least at their core, imagine, if you will, it is like a very modified vehicle. It's got that base outline. It's got that kind of hull shape that is a Jem'Hadar attack vessel. But it has additional weaponry on it that looks to be a mixture of both Federation and Jem'Hadar. It looks like to be Dominion technology mixed in with Klingon technology. It's really an amalgamation of all these different kind of technologies that have been kind of weaved together to create this very, very scary looking vessel. You are relatively confident with that success, and I will obviously give you an additional question, but you're very confident that one of these ships would give the Ragnar a run for its money. 2 of them, that might be real danger. That might be real danger.
Are they? Sorry. Are they from the future?
They appear to not be from the future. They are not. Is that your question?
That is, yeah.
They themselves are not temporally displaced from the current time that they're in.
Okay. Sorry. Then, is the question was more, is the technology they're using more advanced than they should be?
It's more advanced than your records would indicate,
okay.
But you can extrapolate that if things had gone differently in the Dominion War, it's not improbable that this kind of blending of technology, assuming the Dominion would have won the war versus the Federation and the combined forces fighting them back, winning, that this could have happened. Again, you're not sure, but things are definitely not how they should be.
And for the talent I have, the Starship Expert, what it does is either it gives me a temporary momentum if I identify the ships, and it's either for asking another question or to obtain create advantage. But I will use it for another question, and just to make sure, can it easily be identified with Federation merging or other, like Cardassian merging?
Elaborate on the question. I'm not sure where you're going with this.
So you're talking about a merging of technologies. What I want to know is, can I extrapolate that the technology that was merged with is Federation based, Cardassian based, Klingon based, or like
primarily Federation?
Okay.
I have a question. Are the Jem'Hadar ships equipped with transponders? Are they sending out identification signals saying that they are Dominion ships or Federation ships, or
they're sending out a signal that is saying that they are, this is going to sound silly, but Federation Dominion. So they are they are a Federation branch of the Dominion. That is what you're picking up from them. That is the transpond signal that they're sending out.
Ensign Zed, you heard the commander. Give us a course that'll set us, that'll give the Jem'Hadar something to chase.
Yes, Captain.
Captain, those Jem'Hadar ships are Federation. They are merged with Federation technology, as best as I can tell. They're not. This is weird. I think if Zed can confirm, their transponder does seem to be a Federation signal. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't care if they're telling us that they're from my homeworld. We're not going to talk to them, and we're definitely not letting them escort us back to Starbase 123. Compile a full report, try and get deep scans, send those down to engineering so that Krev can take a look.
All I wanted to say, sir, is that this probably means that we're not in our timeline.
Yeah, I'm getting that. Thank you, Mr. Paris.
Captain, I have put in a very chase-worthy
excellent,
course.
Mr. Shear, execute that course.
Aye, sir. Executing course. Ooh, and where exactly, Zed, are you sending the Ragnar? You've got this known space, which is slightly modified from what you see, but just kind of doing like a zigzagging all over the place, left and right.
Serpentine.
Do you want to eventually head back into the Shackleton, or do you want to end up in Klingon space, Romulan Empire? Where are we thinking?
I think the Shackleton.
Shackleton.
So we can.
So you guys do a crazy rigmarole, zipping around left and right, up and down. It is like lots of little tiny micro warp jumps, and eventually you end up back in the Shackleton Expanse. And I've done a nice little jump around there for you. You guys go crazy. This takes some time. Lieutenant Shear is doing an absolutely fantastic job of keeping the ship just jumping and then impulsed and jumping again, impulse jumping again. And because of that brilliant decision to plot in the serpentine course, as we call it, maybe it's called the Zed maneuver. It's a serpentine maneuver. That's what they're going to call it these days. It's a Zed maneuver. And we watch as the ship jumps around, and then we watch as these two very. It's strange. You do get close enough to them at one point to actually bring them up on that long range view screen. It is like the saucer section of the Jem'Hadar makes up the Jem'Hadar ship, and then you see these kind of nacelles that are very reminiscent of either the Ragnar, like an Intrepid class, or maybe even Miranda, and one of them has the 4 set, so it's got the 2 on top, the 2 on bottom nacelles. The other one has just the 2 set, so it looks like there's 2 different kind of versions of this vessel. One's a little bit more heavily armed. The one that has the 4, seems to almost be like a carrier. You can tell that it has some other additional, maybe smaller vessels inside of it, but they are this kind of mixture of the 2 technologies, of the 2 groups, the Dominion and the Federation, kind of just wrapping together. And this is what they've produced. But you do end up back in the glorious embrace of the Shackleton Expanse. And I'm curious, what would you guys like to do next?
So here's the real question. if they're an amalgam between the Federation and the Dominion, why did Starbase 123 identify them as Dominion ships?
From the records that I've read, the Dominion usually aren't part of other groups. They're always the Dominion. So if I had to guess, it's a faction of the Federation, like Starfleet.
Dominion likes to pretend that they give other polities a fair say, has been my experience.
Do you think that it was our actions that caused this change to the timeline?
I don't see how that's possible.
There was been no record of the Dominion in the Shackleton Expanse before.
All I know is that Commander Cade will be very displeased when she finds out about this.
We need more information.
Captain, if I may, I would recommend we return to the site of Kronos Station. The wormhole that appeared there, I suspect that might have some connection to why we ended up where we are now.
Yeah, but the wormhole's not due for another 30 years.
But there might still be some trace of it. Wormholes like that, they can come and go. The one near Bajor was sighted even before it permanently was mapped and opened.
True. Mr. Paris? Mr. Zed, I heard you stuttering up there.
I was simply speculating, Captain. I should perhaps leave the scientific speculation to Lieutenant Paris.
No, there's no bad ideas. Let's hear it.
I was simply thinking, what if we have not truly gone into the past, but into some sort of alternate dimension, 30 years into its past? Maybe when Commander Krev sent us through that singularity, we passed over to another universe.
Mr. Paris, what do you think?
That is my current theory, that we are indeed another timeline.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but we should then be able to match the atomic structure and the quantum resonance field of the ship to any other piece of matter in this universe. And if they don't match, we should be able to identify that, right?
Yes, sir.
Get on it.
Yes, sir. So, yep. I'll scan a piece of anything in the Shackleton expanse that is solid enough, and quantum mechanics all over that shit.
What we're going to do is we're going to leave you guys there for a few moments, and we're going to pivot on down to main engineering, where we see Lieutenant Commander Krev, we see Bronson, we see that they're currently standing, and now normally engineering has this kind of bluish hue, this kind of glow from the blue swirling energy that is the warp core, but it has been replaced with this kind of purple, white, dark blue kind of mixture of energy. And every so often, as you watch the warp core kind of spin and do that twirling thing that it does, and that swirling, you think you might see almost like the face of a dragon, this kind of like draconic looking head, and then it swirls around. But the good news is, Lieutenant Commander Krev, the good news is that power output, A-okay. Like the ship's humming purring like a kitten, purring like a dragon. It's purring right now, which is wonderful, but also weird. I don't know, but I'd like to know what you're doing to investigate, or really where you'd like to go with that.
I guess I would be running diagnostics, like figuring out what levels of efficiency the power transfer from the new warp core is, what its level of power fluctuation, just getting baseline measurements so that we can know what kind of performance this thing is going to give us through various different sorts of tasks that we're going to put it up against.
Beautiful, beautiful. What I'd like you to do is I'd like to make an insight engineering check. Difficulty on this is just going to be a 2. Just going to be a 2. You do have some momentum sitting there for yourself right now, so use that as you see fit.
I will use 1. And then I do have a focus on warp drive. And then I'm just looking through my tasks, making sure. I guess this wouldn't be like a technical problem with the ship, right?
I would allow it to be a technical problem if that's kind of how you want to do it. Like, because I mean, it's not really a problem, but it's definitely not normal. So if you want to say like, things aren't running quite as they should, I am totally fine with allowing you to use that as a focus or talent.
Yeah, all right, then I'll use I know my ship, which lets me add a bonus d20.
Perfect.
So that's 4. I guess that'll cost another momentum, right?
Does the trait force you to use a momentum to activate it, or is it no? Okay. So if you want to roll, you're rolling 3 die right now. If you want to roll 1 extra die, you'd have to spend 1 momentum to do so.
Yeah. Okay. Then we already spent that. Okay.
No, except because he adds the die, that is a
You're
die.
right. That goes up to you have to spend 2 more momentum. Yep.
All right. Then go ahead and put the momentum back.
Okay.
Too late. I already spent the extra one.
All right.
You're just gonna have to roll. Sorry.
Okay. Don't mind if I do. Submit with focus.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus.
Let's double check that. So that is 2. You're back to 6 momentum. So good job. Wow, that's crazy. Krev can't be stopped. So good news is that the ship systems, the power output of this Space Dragon warp core is about 115%. Now normally the ship's warp core putting out more power than the ship should be able to sustain might be a problem. It could be overloading EPS conduits, it could be overloading power relays. It could damage the ship. None of that is happening. You have bonus power to spare. You could replicate an entire city probably through the replicators, and this thing would only go down maybe 1%. That is how efficient this core is right now. Now, in game, what that's going to do for you is at any point the ship is using power, which primarily comes to when you're in combat and things like that, you have to spend half the normal power to do an action. So recharging shields, like using your face, like anything you might need to do. And every round of combat, which where everybody goes, you regain 2 power. This is a massive, like, objectively improvement upon the Ragnar systems. But every time you start to probe this thing, it seems like, well, you're pretty sure it's intelligent. You're pretty sure it's alive. It seems to almost kind of dodge those probes. Now, you rolled like 8 successes, right? So I'm not going to tell you. You got 7, I believe, is what it is. 2, 4, 6, 7, right? Yeah. 7 successes. So you managed to do it, but it takes longer than it should have. And it's almost as though if you've ever played with a puppy and you're playing with it and you go to get it and it runs away from you and you're like, I'm going to get you, puppy. And then it runs away. It feels playful as you try to investigate. You try to identify and analyze this new warp core. It's like it's playing with you.
And Krev is actually going to go along with it.
I like that.
Bronson is probably going to be surprised at just how much fun he's having.
Sir,
with it.
Why are you laughing? You never giggle.
Yeah, I'm gonna get this little bugger.
Bugger, sir?
The core. It's Chief.
Sir, I'm still trying to understand why we have a warp core when the captain ejected the warp core.
Well, I made a deal with this gigantic space dragon here. I've named him Jormungandr. And he is our power system now. And he's a playful little scamp. And he's the reason why we are going to be able to not die. Thank you, Jormungandr.
As you say playful little scamp and then thank him, power flickers for a moment and then comes back.
Who's a good boy?
Whoop, 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 whoop. Exactly. What else would you be looking into in this moment, Krev? So you've done a little analysis. You've identified that the ship's power is beyond what normal capabilities should be. It's giving you some in-game benefits as well. Also, it's apparently playful and makes Krev laugh, which is beautiful and wonderful. Krev has a friend. Little pet, as it were. It really is your ship now. You've claimed it.
It is.
That's good. I love it. What else would you be looking to, if anything?
He would also be, like I said in my
Opening log.
Obviously, he would be looking over his shoulder for temporal agents, but mostly on the ship, he would be overseeing repairs also, and administrating between all of the various
repair
crews
and different command chiefs, etc., crew chiefs and whatnot. So surprisingly enough, despite the roller coaster that was the shockwave, despite ejecting the warp core, etc., the Ragnar itself really only sustained. Wow, words are hard tonight. Sustained very superficial damage. The occasional deck plate that was ripped off, some of the hull plating. One of the nacelles was slightly damaged, but recruits are already working on it. It's not really even affecting warp. So everything is in pretty good shape. A couple of bumped elbows and knees. Commander Ajay, most of your medical staff has been able to handle that, while you yourself are focusing on more of that first officer command role. Things are, all intents and purposes, other than being lost in time and perhaps in an alternate universe, the ship seems like it's in pretty good shape. It's pretty good. It's good. Yeah.
It's good. It's good.
Yeah, it's good. It's fine.
Good.
Nothing bad will happen, probably.
Probably. Never. Wouldn't dream of it. Okay. Then I guess he's also come to kind of an agreement with the, we have way too many sentient systems in this ship, by the way. He's vaguely annoyed by it, but at the same time, at least he has someone to talk to. He also seems to have come to a bit of a detente with the cloaking device too. They came to a bit of an understanding, if I remember correctly. So he's also going to be trying to optimize, systems within and out of the cloaking device, now that he has not
so glad
control over it, but now that they've come to an understanding, he's learning its systems and teaching it his.
So I'm so glad you bring up the cloaking device. Now, we did activate it earlier, and in the past, I've described this cloaking device to you, Krev, and the rest of the crew as kind of being shielded from your internal sensors. It's kind of this black box. Krev, as you go to begin to analyze some of the power consumption and the draw and the pull and the push of that power to that system, what you notice is that system is no longer a black box. You go to scan, it's there, it's present, you can see everything about it, you're getting technical readouts, etc. But what's perhaps slightly, maybe disconcerting, maybe just odd, is that in the past there's been this kind of, like you described it, a sentience to that system. Unlike the warp core now, which is kind of playful, almost puppy dog, like back and forth, it's seeming to hide from you. That system, it reacts to your investigation, your control over it, more like a piece of technology. So it seems less sentient. In fact, it doesn't seem sentient at all.
Okay, well, I'm going to, like I said, I am going to work on understanding how it interacts with the various power systems, what kind of draw, especially now that it's on, how its power systems fluctuate, look into if there's any way I can try and make any of its connections more efficient, or just pretty much getting, like I said, like getting to know the system,
getting it optimized, getting to know the system. This is the first time you've really had a chance to look into that system unimpeded. Nothing's holding you back. So I'm going to leave you with that. You're going to be doing that research. We're going to pivot back to the bridge, and the crew here was having a conversation, and Lieutenant Paris was about to look for something solid so that he could do a scan of it and compare where you're at as to the atomic structure of that, to see what's going on. So I'm going to go ahead and actually pivot you back to the bridge. And
so scanning for the quantum signature of something outside the
difficulty
ship,
of 2, pretty standard check. Go ahead and make that roll.
And good thing I've got quantum mechanics now.
Somebody used those that milestone.
Difficulty 2, you said. So yeah, the ship will help, and I'll even use a momentum.
Beautiful.
Science.
I don't know. We've only got 6.
I know. I don't know. You might want to hold it.
I mean, yes.
So currently, that is a failure.
I can roll 1, 0.
You can reroll 1. Okay.
The ship needs to roll as well.
Beautiful.
Sensor science still?
I would guess so, yes. Only 2 successes.
That's okay. That's still a success. That's still a net positive. So, just as you had surmised, Lieutenant Paris, you had come up with this theory that you were likely in the past, but not your past, your timeline, 100% correct. Your theory is proven. You find a floating piece of a rock, a small, maybe just it's like a small asteroid. You look at its atomic structure, you scan it, and lo and behold, you guys are completely different from it. Not entirely. It's about 15% different from you guys. It's a past, just not your past.
Confirm, Captain. Our quantum signature is different from this universe.
Alrighty. I don't like leaving Krev out of this loop. Let's move this into the boardroom, or into the council room, whatever the heck that thing's called.
Conference room.
Mr. Moran, you have the bridge. All senior staff report to the conference room.
Perfect. So we're going to pivot everyone over to the conference room. And I actually had everyone set up there already. So, I'm kind of prepared. I figured there'd be a scene like this. So I got you all set up, I can read your minds. No, I'm just kidding. Maybe I can't. I don't know. Like Captain Treso. Maybe I gave up my mind reading powers. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. But as we watch here, we have the scene of the Ragnar moving through the Shackleton Expanse. We see the bridge crew all making their way towards the conference room, and then we see everyone sitting down, taking a breather, a little bit of small talk, and then obviously, Captain, I leave the scene to you.
All right, Mr. Paris, can you give us a summary of what we know so far?
So we are currently in a alternate timeline. Our deviation is about approximately 15%. The current Federation seems to be involved with the Dominion. We are being searched by 2 Jem'Hadar ships, thanks to Ensign Zed. We were able to evade them and return to the Shackleton Expanse. and currently we are stuck here, and I believe there are a lot of variables that can be causing this. There are 3 focal time points that we intersected with, so got a lot of things to cover.
Well,
Sorry, Captain.
Thoughts, people? Go ahead, Mr. Paris.
The first event we encountered was the supernova star. The second, of course, was the black hole, and the third was the wormhole that brought us to this place. These all 3 points could have transferred us, as we've only just discovered the difference.
And what of the dragon-like entity?
Jormungandr's happy down there.
Jormungandr?
Jormungandr. I don't know. It's it's an Earth Old Norse word, apparently. Lieutenant Paris. Those are your people, right?
They are indeed human. It is from the Norse mythology, and yes, although it's not my area of expertise.
I would say, unless we have some concern expressed by the chief engineer, we not look a gift dragon in the mouth.
He is he's a very good boy.
I'm sorry, did you just say he was a good boy?
Have you been able to determine his gender?
I'm just making an assumption. It's
let's see.
It's fine. But yeah, it's very playful.
Now, to confirm, Mr. Barris, we are in an alternate reality, not our own. So this isn't an alternate timeline where something was changed in the past and we need to fix it.
Exactly, sir.
I mean, we're in the past, and we didn't go any further into the past, so we wouldn't have gone back. Oh God, I hate temporal mechanics.
But what it should mean is that we're not responsible for the state of the Federation at the moment.
There's no empirical evidence at the moment, but it's not also impossible due to the first encounter we had with the shuttlecraft from this time period, or maybe earlier. So,
Dr. Ajay, you examined we compared the quantum signatures on the 2 passengers we found, and they were comparable to our own, weren't they?
GM, I don't recall that we.
So I don't believe we ever really delved into that.
Yeah.
Candidly speaking, we got a little distracted.
Hearing about it.
We got a little distracted by it.
But we scanned them for temporal.
Yeah, we scanned them for temporal, but not for
quantum
universal
signature.
Yeah.
Which is.
Yeah.
Well, are those scans still on the on record? We should be able to compare their quantum signatures, even if we didn't look in them before.
Of course. One moment. I did run quite a battery of tests on both of them. I'm sure that we've got something we can use to compare.
Why don't you go ahead and just make a control medicine difficulty of 2 check for us, Commander Ajay. And as you are running that text,
can the ship help with a computer's medicine?
You know what? Sure, why not? The ship's very helpful right now. As Lieutenant Commander Krev said, it is a good boy. And as you are pulling up the records, almost serendipitously, almost prophetically, your comm badge chirps, and Petty Officer Joffrey Locke, his voice comes over that comm badge. Commander Ajay, do you have a moment?
Petty Officer, one moment. Captain, do you mind if I...
No, go ahead. Forward your results on that quantum. And if you have any other ideas, step back in. We got to figure out what we're going to do. I'll keep you briefed.
Unfortunately, I think that's a failure.
That is unfortunately a failure. You can give me a threat to succeed at cost. I'll take it.
You know what? I I will do that.
The GM lunges towards the threat, putting it into his hoard like a dragon. It's glorious. Awesome. I love it.
This
So
is totally not going to bite us in the butt later.
No.
as the rest of the command staff continues their conversation, we just pivot over to the hallway, which is just up and around the corner. And we actually see two Commander Ajay's. No, we're going to delete that other one. But we pivot up to that little hallway as you just kind of slip around the corner and you have this quick conversation. Joffrey Locke, you've interacted with him, you've talked with him, you know that he has this kind of nervous, very unsure of himself kind of energy. His voice is, well, he sounds a little older, he sounds a little bit more sure of himself. Commander Ajay, I hope that I'm not being too direct here, but did something happen? I felt the ship spiral around. I've heard some of the crew talking about it, but would it be out of place for me to ask where we are?
I'm sure the gossip's already making the rounds, Petty Officer. Now we're back in the Shackleton Expanse, but we found ourselves briefly by Starbase 123 again.
So, we're going back there? Why didn't we go back to the Starbase? If I can, I'd really like to talk to my father.
I'm afraid that he did not appear to be in charge of the Starbase, and he did not hail us. It was a commander. I didn't catch their name, I'm afraid.
Commander, I don't know who else to tell this to, and I know this might sound a bit crazy, but I feel more whole. I don't know why, but I just feel like I'm more of myself all of a sudden. And I'm starting to remember things. I'm starting to remember horrible things. I just wanted to know if something's changed.
Petty Officer, do you mind if I ask you a question?
Of course, Commander. Of course.
Who won the Dominion War?
Well, the Dominion did, Commander.
Thank you, Mr. Locke. I will have some more information for you shortly, I suspect.
Should I go to medical? I'll meet you in medical. Thank you, Commander.
Yes, I'll be there momentarily.
Joffrey Locke chirps off. I'd like to give the four of you who were still in the meeting about a minute or two just to talk. If there's anything you'd like to discuss prior to bringing Commander Ajay back in, or if you just want to wait for her to return, that's fine as well.
Oh no, I don't know how long this is going to take, so.
We're going to let her, so you all just had some small talk. Like, yeah, it's space dragons, that's the thing. But we watch as Commander Ajay walks back in, and I will move you back into the scene, Commander Ajay.
It appears that your theory is correct, Captain. Mr. Locke recalls that the Dominion won the war and claims he feels better, in a way, right now. I will, of course, head down to medical to meet him to run that scan, but I suspect that this is his home, and that his presence is why we've been pulled here.
Well, that may give us an answer to why we're here, but it doesn't give us any indication how to get back home. Ideas, people.
From a security standpoint, I think that the security staff should study the scans of the Federation, Dominion, Jem'Hadar ships to try to isolate any weakness or anything that could give us an advantage should we have to fight them. But also about this space dragon in the warp core. Commander Krev, is it true that that it has actually increased our power output?
Affirmative, by at least 10%. He's a very good boy.
Do you think this dragon would fight for us? I mean, would it be able to do the same for our tactical weapons?
Power is power.
That may be something we wish to look into.
Let's not get too ahead of ourselves. I'm not looking for a fight in this universe.
Yes, Captain.
If Mr. Locke is the reason we're here, it might be that the only way to get home is to find a way to get him off the ship. But I don't feel comfortable with that, given that we still don't understand how he came to be in the state he was in when we found him.
I think our main lack at this point is information. Krev, Zed, what are the chances we could pass unnoticed near a starbase with the cloak engaged?
It depends upon the Dominion and this timeline's ability to penetrate cloaking devices. Lieutenant Paris, what do you think?
I concur. Until we know more about their systems, I really can't say either.
Well, the cloak and the engines have more than enough power. I'm starting to learn the quirks of the cloaking device. It seems to have become less sentient than it was previously. It's a real good cloak, Cap. If I can get it some more power, we might be able to sneak by those Jem'Hadar bastards.
Well, what I want to do is figure out how long we could stay within proximity. We should have all the appropriate clearance codes to do a library transfer. We just need to get close enough to a subspace transponder that has access to a station. And unfortunately, those are pretty well within Federation space. Or at least that's my recollection. Anybody else think of another way we can get the information we need without engaging the forces of the day?
I hate to recommend it, but do we? Oh wait, Commander Ajay hasn't come back in yet, has she?
No, she's here.
Okay. Maybe we talk to the kid about it.
Until we've compared whether or not the petty officer is indeed from this particular universe or just closer to this universe than ours, I'm not going to pin all our hopes on the information one kid remembers.
I'm not saying all of our hopes. I'm just saying we talk
250 souls on board who would probably like to see their families at some point.
Captain, I'm not certain if you are aware or not, but I was actually born on Memory Alpha, the library planetoid. I wonder if Memory Alpha exists in this universe as well. It might be less guarded than a Starfleet outpost. It is a planetoid of researchers and librarians who are custodians of the accumulated knowledge of the Federation.
How deep back into Federation space is Memory Alpha?
It is on the other side of the Romulan Empire, which you're not sure still exists. But if it does, that's a process. I will actually do you guys a solid. I'll move you back to, well, assumed known space. And if I remember correctly, Memory Alpha is on, I believe it's over, somewhere over here, if I remember correctly. I think it's near Starbase 10, but I could be crazy.
I mean, whether or not it's close to Starbase 10 or not doesn't change whether or not you're crazy.
Yeah, so based on my quick search of Memory Alpha to identify where it is, I believe it is on the other side of the Romulan Empire. So it is literally, yeah, through the Romulan Empire. It's a journey, several week journey.
Mr. Zed, I appreciate your suggestion, but I think trying to get to Memory Alpha would be much more difficult than just skirting the outskirts of Starbase 173.
Understood, sir.
Anybody else have any ideas?
Barring the information we don't have, I suspect we might be able to get more information again from Chronos Station. I realize I seem to be harping on this, but after those of us who participated in the religious rites had it go a little wrong, I spoke to a being that might or might not have been a paw wraith or the equivalent thereof. Paw wraiths and prophets are both able to reach across time and space, possibly even dimensions. There might be something there beyond just a thing that hasn't happened yet.
Doesn't sound like the worst idea ever, Cap.
I'm hesitant to take us back where our auto transmission of navigation records will have told Starbase that we already were. I'm happy to give you access, Commander, to any of the sensor readings. We should have a pretty comprehensive reading of that area since the ship regained power there. But until we have reason to return to that space, I'm hesitant to take us back there. I'm not convinced there'll be anything for us to see. However, if we are unable to spot anything or find anything conclusive in the records we gleaned from the Starbase, it's as good a place to base ourselves as any. So,
do you think, Lieutenant Paris, that Starbase 123, their sensors would be able to penetrate the Ragnar's cloaking device?
The station as it was 30 years ago in our universe would not have been, but these are now Dominion influence sensors. Right now we don't have that information. I can't guarantee it.
actually, there may be a way to have our cake and eat it too.
Cap?
Computer, pull up the records of the shuttle traffic around the Starbase 123 we just visited.
Pulls up those records.
What I'm looking for is to find out whether or not there was effectively the regular amount of shuttle traffic and whether it was, a bunch of runabouts and jazz, just like flying to and from, as per usual.
Give us an insight command, difficulty of 1.
Insight command. Focus of infiltration.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm going to spend a momentum. Yeah.
Beautiful. Get the momentum right back. Perfect. Excellent. So there was more traffic than your old logs represented, and there was also a smattering of slightly modified Federation vessels. There were some Klingon vessels, and then a whole bunch of Dominion vessels, like just an uncomfortable amount of them. But it was a mixture of those. I'd say if it was in, say, quarters, you've got half of it would be Dominion, another quarter would be like Klingon and other Federation vessels, and then the rest would be actual Federation vessels. And the Dominion, I'm also considering these kind of hybrid Jem'Hadar Federation vessels as well.
We've got a runabout on board, don't we?
You do?
Yes, sir.
If we take the Ragnar to investigate the site of the Chronos Station, as per the commander's preference, but we send a runabout we change the runabout's comm signature and buoy I'm sure Ensign Zed and Lieutenant Paris would be able to do that. And then we send the runabout in to pick up the library information we need and then rendezvous with us. That should give us the information we need without risking the entire crew.
Ah, Captain, it would be a heist.
Something like that, for sure.
Very much like the Hollow novels, Miami Vice, that I have been watching most recently. An excellent idea, Captain.
Do I hear a certain security chief volunteering to pilot a runabout?
I am more than willing to pilot that, sir.
Ragnar has the capacity, certainly at this point, to drum up any fake parts that we might need to cosmetically make the runabout look more correct.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
All right. Unless there are any objections, I think we've settled on a plan.
Honestly, Cap, I could make us a whole new one.
A whole new
I told
runabout?
you, this thing's got power.
Well, Mr. Paris, Mr. Zed, whatever, it sounds like whatever you need, Mr. Krebs got you hooked up. Doctor, I hope you are satisfied with this as an end result, because we're going to take the ship back to where you were hoping for. All right, well, unless there's any
Excellent.
objections, let's move.
Perfect.
Yeah, Captain.
Aye, Captain.
And is everyone... Go ahead, please, Ensign Zed.
Well, as we go out, Zed would like to have could Zed have just a quick conversation with Commander Ajay?
Absolutely. I'm going to move you both up to the hallway where you guys like to hang out and have your chit-chats.
So Zed would come up behind Commander Ajay. Might I have a moment of your time?
Of course, Ensign. What can I do for you?
Oops.
I wanted to thank you again for patching me up after my recent injuries. Did an excellent job. I feel even better than before.
Well, I'm glad to hear it, but that is my job, Ensign.
Yes, it is. But I was wondering if I could ask you something that was perhaps beyond the scope of your job.
It would certainly depend on what it is.
Well, with the recent danger of my last injury, it made me think about death, Commander, and what should happen should I perish. I was wondering should I die in the course of my duties here, would you be willing to perform the Ferengi death ritual for me?
May I ask what it entails, Ensign?
Oh, of course, yes. My body is to be desiccated and divided into commemorative discs, each marked with the Ferengi seal of dismemberment. It is the Ferengi custom that these commemorative discs are sold, but I think the profits should go to a worthy charity. Feel free to sell them and give the proceeds to any charity that you think would be worthwhile. Would you do this for me?
That's your wish, Ensign Zed, then I would be honored to fulfill it for you.
Thank you, Commander. And should you perish untimely, I would be more than happy to do some sort of Bajoran ritual on your behalf. Not that I wish any ill to happen to you, Commander.
Of course not. It's simply good to be prepared sometimes.
Yes, thank you very much. And then he'll excuse himself.
Love Zed. Zed, you are the heart of this crew. You're the absolute heart. I love you, man. I love you.
Thank you.
Oh my god, so good. So, just to recap, we're going to have an away team that is going to take a either constructed or modified runabout off to Starbase 123. And then we're also going to take the rest of the crew and the Ragnar off to the last known location of Kronos Station. Is that correct? I love it. I love it. Very important question. Who's going on the away mission?
Oh, I'm piloting, so for sure me.
Lieutenant Paris, Ensign Zed. Anyone
Zed will
else?
go.
Anyone else?
See,
You're gonna get your buddy cop film, just like you've always wanted.
that's
It's
right.
not in the holodeck though. It's in real life with real danger.
I'm gonna send a security officer with them
I love it.
because it can't be just the two of them. But I'll send Valles.
Oh yeah.
Valles.
Mostly just so that I can go.
I love it. I
Yes,
love it.
excellent, excellent. Yes.
So what we're going to do is we're actually going to have that happening for a moment. The preparations for those things are happening in the background. So we see Lieutenant Commander Krev, you're modifying a vessel, or would you prefer to create a brand new one? What's your preference?
He would make a new one so that
Love it.
it's not obviously
Modified.
so it's less obviously modified.
Perhaps taking some of the scans Lieutenant Paris has made, you can work in unison. You two would be working together, if that seems fair, to help
Affirmative.
kind of make something that seems to blend in with this time and this particular universe. And then also we see Ensign, we see Commander, the captain preparing the vessel to go off, working with the bridge crew to plot a course off to Kronos Station, etc. But we're actually going to follow Commander Ajay after her delightful encounter with Ensign Zed. We're going to follow her because a certain petty officer, Joffrey Locke, had asked you to meet with him in medical. So we're actually going to pivot down to the sick bay, as it were. Let me just go ahead and get you over to sick bay. And as we pivot over to sick bay, the first thing you notice, Commander Ajay, is that as you get to sick bay, the running lights that they kind of run along the floor of this hallway that head into sick bay. You notice that the running lights appear to be off. And Ensign Zed had mentioned to you that power was at a maximum and we should have no issues, but these running lights are just kind of flickering ever so slightly, and it seems like something is potentially drawing power from them. As you look at the lights that are around the door frame of medical, you see that those are also flickering ever so slightly.
Ajay to engineering.
Krev here.
Lieutenant Commander, is there some issue with the power to sickbay?
Let me check. Krev does a power diagnostic to sickbay.
There are no issues to sickbay. It appears to have full power. Nothing's wrong.
Full power, Commander. Everything seems to be 5 by 5.
I see.
Do you need help? Is there something going on up there?
The running lights are off.
We'll be right there.
Thank you.
Lieutenant Commander Krev, as you are listening to Commander Ajay, you notice that her voice seems to go a bit boxy. You may all notice that Sidereal Day's voice today seems a little distant. She's using a different microphone, but it's even more than that. It sounds like she is talking to you through a string and a cup. And it gets worse as you communicate with her. It gets worse. Commander Ajay, you start to notice the same thing about Lieutenant Commander Krev. As you look down the hallway that you walked down, you see that it seems to elongate and get distant, almost like you have this kind of tunnel vision or this weird kind of vertigo feeling. To the right, the same thing happens, and as you look towards the doors of medical, they are the only thing that seems to be stable in this moment. What would you like to do?
Well, if they're the only thing that's stable, Ajay is gonna go in.
As you step in through the doors, they respond to you moving towards them. They slide open, but they do so in a kind of slow and almost sticky, like they kind of pull apart. And the doors themselves seem to almost be made of a kind of liquid as they slide open. But as you step into medical, you see that the lights are all on. Everything is running. You hear those sounds of perhaps different experiments you have running or different systems that are going. It all seems completely run-of-the-mill normal. However, as you look across into what should be your office, you see someone else sitting in that office. You see it is another female. She's sitting at the desk. And as you walk in, she is wearing chief medical officer garbs, and she has the commander pips on her, and she's looking down, and she, without looking up, says, "Nurse, the patient's in room 1."
Shahira will step into room 1.
Excellent. Just leaning into it. Just leaning into the chaos that is whatever the hell is going on here. I love that. And as you step over into room 1, you see a petty officer, Joffrey Locke, sitting at the edge of the bed, looking a little bit more mature, looking a little bit more. He's got a little kind of beard on his face. Looks a little bit older than he did, and he looks up to Commander Ajay. Commander, something is not as it was. What's happened to the Ragnar? Where are we, Commander?
How familiar are you with some of the more esoteric things that tend to happen to Starfleet officers, Mr. Locke?
He ponders that question for a moment. He reaches up, scratching at his kind of peach fuzz on his face.
Well, he's thinking she's gonna do that quantum scan.
I love it. Go ahead and make that. You're gonna do a control medicine. Difficulty of 2. Now that you're right up next to him, scanning him himself.
I'm gonna use one of our momentum to get a 3rd.
You do have 5, so go hog wild, my dude. Go hog wild.
Nasty.
Can I argue for this being xenobiology since I'm not technically human?
You know what? Sure. We've allowed that to pass in the past. We're going to let it pass here as well.
Excellent.
How many momentum are you using? Just one?
Just the one.
Perfect. So you get a success. So a couple of things that you discover. The medical bay that you will currently find yourself in is matching the readings of that asteroid that Lieutenant Paris scanned. So the medical bay you find yourself in is not, well, it's your medical bay, but it's not your medical bay. This medical bay seems to be from this timeline, which is interesting. Locke also is matching this timeline, this existence, this particular, I guess, alternate dimension, as it were. Mm-hmm. And his presence seems to be spreading.
Well, Mr. Locke?
Yes, Commander. I do know that sometimes ships get lost and they go to different places, and I've heard about something called the Q. They seem to really mess with, well, mostly just one captain, but actually quite a few captains, and he goes on a little bit of a tangent about that.
It seems as if our ship has been pulled through a warp hole to somewhere completely different.
He ponders what you've just told him, Commander Ajay. He thinks about it, and in the past, when you've interacted with Locke, his pondering was very childlike. It was very curious. It was very confused. His expression seems much more contemplative, much more critical thinking. Commander, I can't be sure, but I think I'm where I'm supposed to be. And where I was when I met you all was where I wasn't supposed to be, but someone, and I can't remember who, someone dragged me there. They pulled me there, and it's broken things here and there. I don't know if I'm making sense, Commander.
You're making quite a bit of sense, Mr. Locke.
Commander, as much as I don't want this to happen, I think you need to put me into stasis. I think I may be a danger to the rest of the crew, and that is something that I don't want to be, Commander Ajay. From behind you, you hear the doctor. Nurse, how's our patient?
Just fine, Doctor. All right, Mr. Locke. A temporary stasis.
He lays back, without any protest, onto the bed, and you're able to raise a stasis field, a kind of force field around him to shield him, both temporally, physically, chronologically, for the rest of the ship. And as soon as the shield is erected, you watch as really the entire room seems the same, but a hypospray moves to the left. The coloring seems maybe a little bit more vibrant than it was. And one of the nurses, your nurses, walks into the medical bay, into medical room 2. It's actually Nurse Hagen. He walks in and almost bumps into you. Oh, Commander, I didn't see you there. When did you arrive? Did you walk in from... Did you transport in here?
No, nurse. We're having another little anomaly, that's all.
Oh,
Nothing to worry about.
just another Monday. I'm just trying to work on my bedside manner. Sorry. Looks over at Locke.
Mr. Locke is to stay in stasis for now, given that he's the source of some of the anomalies.
Well, you're the good doctor. And he gives you a little salute. And walks over, starts to take readings, and with that, is there anything else you'd like to do in the medical bay?
No,
leave?
Ajay will begin working on a report for the captain, though, about this.
Perfect. Now, the next scenes that we're gonna have here is going to be we're gonna focus in on the Ensign Zed, Lieutenant Paris heading off to Starbase 123. Is there any other scenes that Commander Ajay, Lieutenant Commander Krev, or the Captain would like to have before we go on this little heist journey with the two of them?
I just want to acknowledge that Krev would designate the runabout to be the USS Crockett.
All right. Okay. I'm missing something, but that's all right. I don't want to know.
That was Don Johnson's character's name in Miami Vice.
Oh my god. Oh, that is a whole thing, but it is the Crockett. All right, perfect. So the USS Crockett, which is beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful.
I mean, it could be the USS Tubbs.
Crockett. Crockett has a much better ring to it. I like it. It rolls off the tongue. But
Oh, Ajay would have calmed Krev and assured him that the issue she calmed about was dealt with.
you get about halfway up to medical, and then you turn right back around to keep working on your new Crockett. As it were, your Crockett project. There it is.
My Crockett Rocket.
Yeah, Crockett Rocket. There it is. So we are going to...
We have fun here.
We're going to pivot over to the known space sheet, where I have pulled a new token, a nice little pretty little runabout kind of style token right here, this little guy. It's a bit of a darker hull, which is kind of cool, right? I'm going to make it a little bit bigger just so it's easier to see. And this is a big enough for maybe a dozen crew members, a dozen people to sit in. It's that runabout style that you see occasionally in some Starfleet. So it's got a little conference room in the back. It's got its own replicators. It's even got some sleeping quarters, and it's got like a 4-seater in the front. But it's a runabout, as it were. So we cut to a scene with Lieutenant Paris, Ensign Zed, and the good security officer who was, remind me again, Captain Tracer, who you brought along?
Valles.
You are traveling towards Starbase 123, and I want to give you guys just a few moments, maybe just to have some small talk, discuss with each other how you plan to approach the Starbase, and then obviously, Captain Tracer, you were playing the security officer, but go ahead and just take it away.
And Valles is Valles Vulcan or Klingon?
He's Vulcan.
Vulcan, that's right. Okay, yes. Well, Zed will be, at the console, and he'll look over at Paris and say, "So, Lieutenant, is our current plan to get as close to Starbase 123 as possible and to hack into their information network?"
We don't need to get that close. We just need to find a subspace relay, which should be close enough. But doing that will also trigger probably some bells and whistles, because that's a lot of information we're going to download. So I'm going to have to be good at masking our position.
Lieutenant, if I may.
Yes.
I have already taken the liberty of editing our logs to make it seem as if this is a routine update to our library systems.
All right.
Excellent.
That's a great initiative. I'll look over it for sure.
Excellent. Although I do think that we should have a plan B in case our plan with our initial plan does not work. We may be forced to perhaps infiltrate the Starbase. And
I honestly don't believe that there will be any actual infiltration. I don't think any site-to-site transporting will occur either. I'm just speculating here. Like all we need is computer to computer. It's very simple.
I suppose so, but it would be very exciting.
I'm sure it would be, but we're not here for excitement. That's why we have what'd you call it again? Miami Vice?
Yes. Very well. It's just that the last episode that I saw had them going undercover, and I was taking inspiration from it. But yes, of course, we will focus on the main plan. Main plan it is.
Going undercover would be a terrible idea, not because I think the idea is bad, but because for one, you are a Ferengi. I don't believe Ferengis were part of Starfleet.
Which may be the perfect cover. Ferengi merchants might have free access throughout the Federation/Dominion.
We would need a Ferengi ship. But that is a good idea.
Yes, of course.
Lieutenant, again, if I may interrupt.
Yes.
The security chief raises an interesting idea. The runabout is fitted with holographic projectors as per Lieutenant Commander Krebs' specifications, and so it is possible for us to present the image of a Ferengi vessel were that to be necessary.
That is a good point. If need be, that is a good alternative. Thank you for pointing that out to me. I didn't realize we did. Probably part of the thing I could understand. Okay.
Excellent job, Velis. You certainly seem to have the lobes for security. One day you may even take my job as chief of security.
Oh, I am certain that is not in the cards until you have your own command, sir.
My own command. And Zed sits back and he's obviously thinking about thinking about what that would be like.
Yes, I love it. I love it. So we cut to a scene here. Once again, exiting out of the interior of the Crockett. Lord have mercy. Hilarious. And we go back to this known space sheet. So we can watch the vessel traveling towards the starbase. So I'm going to have you make a sensors check here. And Zed, you can also assist. So you would make a control science, Lieutenant Paris. Zed, you can make a control security with an assist. And this is just to locate the closest beacon, buoy, etc. So you can try to get and then also likely monitoring traffic that's coming to and from in this area. It's actually almost surprisingly busy. I mean, think like Space Truckers 2000. There's just like just lots of different ships coming in and out of the Starbase. The Starbase itself looks to be about a third bigger than you all remember it being, and it's definitely heavily modified with Dominion technology. There are larger bays. Looks like there's different living quarters and just lots of trade centers and things like that. You see big freighter ships coming in and out of it as well. So it's definitely become it's definitely a different feel than what you all remember.
I will. Is there a difficulty? Sorry, first.
Yes, the difficulty on this is going to be a 3. The reason it's going to be a 3 is because there's just so much traffic that making these scans, there's comm traffic, there's other people scanning. It's just a lot of interference going on here, and your ship's sensors aren't quite modulated to cut through that interference.
All right, so I will use 3 of our momentum. Make sure that I boost it up as much as I can on the other way around. Can I use stellar cartography as a focus?
I'm gonna say yes because I like you. There it is.
Thank you.
I calls him like I sees him. There it is.
And I am using a computer, so my technical expertise will re-roll if need be.
Love it. Go for it.
But there is no need be. That is 5, so 3
beautifully
back,
done.
2 back.
Beautifully done. Beautifully done. So as you scan, you actually do locate a buoy, and as fate would have it, it's pretty close. It's actually almost right up next to the gaseous orange cloud that is the Shackleton Expanse, maybe just a light year away. So just a little quick warp jump, you'll be right where you need to be. However, I have all of this threat that I've been sitting on for this entire episode. I even got an extra threat from you, like a hungry little gremlin that I am when it comes to being a game master. Everything looks good. It's right there. You can see it. You're moments away. When you get a hail, from someone. It doesn't say who it's from, but there's that little boop, 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 and Zed, you get this hail. Just over and over. Someone, you're not sure where, who, is hailing your vessel.
I'll look at the lieutenant.
Find the source, please.
Of course. And Zed's going to try and use sensors or whatever he can to try to isolate where it's coming from. Or is it, I guess it's voice? Is there like any kind of text?
It is voice only currently. And it's just it's like a ping. It's like someone's trying to almost check if you're there. They're like asking for permission to contact you. It's like someone ringing the doorbell before they have a conversation with you. That's what you're getting. They're just asking for a return pulse. Here's the one thing I'll say, Ensign Zed, and I'm not going to make you roll for this because you're pretty smart and pretty good at your job. You simply recognize this is a Federation, kind of like back in World War II, Flash Thunder. It's that, and it looks legit, completely legit.
This looks like it could be illegitimate.
So this is a confirmation buoy. Uh-oh. Oh boy. Let me try and see if I can get the proper response. So that will be, I'll do it.
I'm going to
Daring-
elaborate a little pit because I don't
Mhm.
think you're picking up what I'm putting down, and that's on me. I'm going to elaborate a little bit. This signal pulse seems to be coming from a ship, not the
Mhm.
buoy itself, coming from a ship. And I'm going to elaborate a little bit, and it almost matches the same kind of signal that the Ragnar itself would send you were it trying to contact you secretly.
Okay, because what confuses me more is the fact that you said it's like Flash and Thunder thing.
Correct.
So that's what I mean when I'm just
Mhm.
I said buoy, but I meant ship.
Yeah, no, that's
That's what I
totally
mean.
fine. I just
Okay.
want to make sure. Yeah, go
But-
ahead. Please.
So what Paris is I'm going to do is
Mhm.
with daring science and my security systems and
Mhm.
bypasses, I'm trying to find the correct response
Perfect.
to that.
Yes.
That's what I mean.
Difficulty of, now you have a couple options. You could simply send the response that the Ragnar would normally send, like you would send to the Ragnar, or you can try to figure out if there's a different response. Now your difficulty is just going to be a 2. Just going to be a 2 here.
So my Paris's instinct is this is not the Ragnar contacting me. This is someone else. I
Okay,
need
love
to get the proper response. So
Beautiful.
this is like
Go for it.
for the roll before you said the difficulty had been 2 or 3. I don't remember.
2.
'Cause-
Difficulty of 2.
2.
Yeah.
So that we have 3 more momentum, by the way, Brian.
I know.
So
I put that together when you asked about it.
and there will be 3 uses. I don't know why.
That's crazy talk. It's crazy talk.
Daring,
Did you literally just make me pick up 3 momentum so I could play them again?
well, I didn't expect you to put them and then complain about it.
I love it. Always mutinies. So many mutinies aboard the Ragnar. I love it.
Submits. Yes, focus. All right.
Wow.
I do have my technical expertise to re-roll that 0.
Oh my god, that is amazing.
Just to annoy the hell out of you.
So many successes. I love it. I can't stop you all. You're too powerful. You're too competent.
So that is 6.
It's beautiful. All right, so you get 4 momentum back. You're actually up to 5 momentum. So
5.
Captain's got it
Yep.
right. So here's what you discovered, Lieutenant Paris. You go through all the different calculations. You look at the different, like Flash Thunder. You look at the different responses that should be given. And what you settle on is the only response that you can think that would make the most sense is the same one you would send to if it was your own ship and your own captain hailing you.
All right. I give the answer.
You send the answer out. A few moments go by, and then a few more. And then Ensign Zed, you get a response. It's for visual and audio. And what's strange is that it seems like it's coming from the Ragnar. That's weird. What do you want to do about it?
It's very unusual, Lieutenant. Should we
Actually,
there a
this
reason?
is going to be a blessing in disguise, Zed. And you'll see what I'm thinking.
Is there a reason we do not expect the Ragnar to contact us?
They are going in the opposite direction, and the captain has enough faith in us to complete the mission without a covert contact.
Unless they have happened upon information we require. I am perplexed by the logic with which you would decide not to treat this as a legitimate communication.
I'm not using logic, I'm using my gut instinct.
Yes,
So-
and I'm using my lobes. Something does not feel right.
Well, then I will bow to your superior judgment, gentlemen.
However,
Logic always has its place, but but this is triggering too many alarm bells for me.
I suggest that we initiate audio-only communication.
That was what I was trying.
Or deactivate visual on our end.
So faking a visual processing problem on our end.
With that 6 successes, you can definitely do that.
Okay.
Absolutely, Lieutenant
Alright.
Paris.
Like
Without issue.
this is by the way, this is like my character's wheelhouse to get around stuff. So he's like, all right, more daring and shenanigans to like,
I love it.
all right, visual processing error.
But you accept the communique.
Accept the communique. This is the Crockett.
On a bridge that looks surprisingly similar, but slightly different, you see, and I'm going to do my best impression of Ensign Zed. This is Captain Zed of the USS Ragnar. Who the hell are you? That, my friends, is where we'll end today's session. Great job, everybody.
Son of a bitch.
Boom! All right. Great job, everybody. Great job, everybody. That was super fun. Super fun. Super
Amazing.
fun. You did a great job. Great job. And just the final scene is a ship nearish the buoy that is decloaking that looks awful similar to the Ragnar, but it's the Ragna. The Ragna. Not the Ragnar, the Ragna. The Ragna. Slightly different. Also, Ensign Zed, apparently you're a captain. So that's cool. And you see yourself. The pips, everything. It's the whole thing. It's actually quite delightful. But great session, everybody. I know it was very much character-driven. I hope you guys all had fun. I really just wanted to give you an idea of where you're at, where the situation you find yourselves in, and then we're going to delve into a little bit more of this, I guess, scenario, as it were, during our next episode. But are you guys happy to be back? That's my question. Did you all have fun?
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. I thought you guys did a great job. Absolutely great job. Lieutenant Paris, watching your gears turn during that last scene was delightful. You did a great job, man. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. But as I always say at the end of every session, I just want to say thank you to the players for playing. Thank you to the viewers for viewing. And let me just put it this way. Happy gaming, everybody. We will catch you next week. Same game time, same game place. The Ragnar will still be a good boy. And Lieutenant Paris and Ensign Zed and Captain Zed will have a quick conversation. And we'll figure out what the hell's going on. But good night. Be well. And we'll catch you next time.